Wendy, welcome to the Bright Shiny Object Project podcast.
Thanks, Cheri. I'm glad to be here.
Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to jump right in and ask you this question. What is the bright, shiny light that gets you out of bed every morning?
I think for me, it's a couple things. First of all, I love creating things, with my hands. I love makeovers. So every day, just deciding, what that adventure looks like. That's one of the things. And I think the other thing is also just, I'm an achiever type of personality, and no way I can change that. It's just you are who you are, right? But also, just the drive to make a living for my family. So I think it's those two things. Like when I can create things, be it chairs, be it courses, be it, challenges, whatever it might be, and also make a living. So I'm helping other people, but I'm helping myself and my family. Those are the things that really drive me, and get me out of bed and get me going for the day.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I would love to talk. I just recently met you through the Ugly Chair Challenge that somehow fell into my life through Instagram. And I would love to know a little bit about your story and what brought you into making chairs. Or not making chairs, but making chairs beautiful. Let's put it that way.
Well, I've always loved chairs. It's a weird thing to admit, and it took me a long time before I would tell people out loud.
She came out of the closet.
Yeah, I would collect them, and my family could tell you. And I would try to redo them. I had a book that helped me, figure out how to make over the chair, but it just wasn't good enough, So about 10 years ago, I took an upholstery course. Officially, I asked for it for my birthday. I was an educational consultant at the time, an author and a presenter for a publishing company. I had been a teacher previously, and decided I would take an upholstery course because I really wanted to learn. I just like doing makeovers. Had no thought of leaving my company, leaving the career that I had built. And it was a good career. And but after I took the course, I thought, oh, this is fun. Maybe let's see if I can make some money, selling them. And so I opened an Etsy store, and I had to take the course twice. Let me back up because the first time I took it, it was all in person. And you think in-person classes are best, right? So I took this in-person class, and when I get home, I'd be like, wait, how did we do that? What did I do? And I took good notes. I took pictures. But it just wasn't enough. So I was like, at the end of it, I was like, well, I have to take it again. So I did it again, and I took in a couple more chairs to do. And, after that course, and so those courses were like $450 a piece. So it was not cheap, but I was, the second time around, I thought, okay, let me be smarter. I'm going to have one chair there that I work on during class and the identical chair at home. And I'll go home and immediately do what we did there. So that way I could remember better and my notes made better sense. And so that was a lot more helpful, so, so I took the courses, put up some chairs on Etsy, made a couple sales. I was like, this is fun. I wonder if this could be a thing, and so that kind of began the journey of my little side hustle and it's not just a hobby, it's something I wanted to change my career, but I thought, isn't this weird to do chairs? Like, who does that? Nobody does that, and not understanding that, niching down is really the smart thing to do. But I didn't know, I thought nobody does chairs. They'd be an interior designer, or something like that. So I kept, chasing after the wrong thing, and finally landed up with, okay, well, I do chairs.
And just to stop you for a second. So, it's one of the things as entrepreneurs, right? There's the bright, shiny objects. There's the positive ones that we go after that take us in a good direction. Yeah. And there's ones that take us down little rabbit holes.
Yes.
What you just said the wrong things. So what was the wrong things, and how did you know, oh, this is the wrong thing?
Oh gosh. I didn't, but because I was trying to pursue that. Like I was going to a therapist saying, well, maybe I just need to be an interior designer, and, crying my eyes out to her, crying my eyes out to my friends, just wanting to make the switch, but not being able to make the money that I needed to. And that was another problem, that I didn't have the courage to price my chairs where they should be so I can make a living for my family. And, you know, so it was just all these lessons that over time, realizing, okay, maybe I should do just chairs, and maybe I could make it that thing, you know. So it just took a lot of time and reflection and, you know, anguish, unhappiness. I mean, a lot of that, because I
Well, a lot
wanted
of
something
voices
so
in your
bad.
head. You're right. The
Oh,
voices in your
total
head just
mindset
going,
issues. Yes,
yeah.
yes, all kinds of problems, you know, and then realizing, okay, you know what? I think I should be this person, and I shouldn't be ashamed of it, and I need to raise my prices. And, you know, and when I did all of that, I began to grasp onto who I was, what my brand was going to be, what it was at that moment, and how I wanted it to develop. And, you know, the mindset control, and learning how to control my mindset and to focus on the right things, to calm myself down, to not be drama driven, you know, and if I have a bad client, not let it affect me. You know, all these things I've had to learn over time. It's not an overnight thing, but it's like when you face something and you realize, I could have handled that better. How do I get control of this so I'm happier? And that's really been my drive, is like, what makes me joyful and happy? And I try to go in that direction. You know, if I can feel good about, you know, offering my courses to people because it helps change their lives, you know, for some of them, they get a new career out of it. For other people, they find meaning in life after they haven't had it for many years, and they realize, I can do some things. I'm not useless. You know, I have purpose, and realizing other people around them are realizing, wow, look at what she did. You know, because doing chair upholstery is not something everyone knows how to do. It's not like you can pick up a paintbrush and just learn how to paint. That's much easier. Painting furniture, things like that, most people can do that. But doing chair upholstery, you can do it if you know how to do it, you know, but most people have this block, like, oh, it's too hard, I can't learn. So these people are being transformed, which gives me meaning in life, you know. And you know, it was about, oh gosh, 4.5, 5 years ago that I was able to quit my day job and do this full time. And it's not like it was all a bed of roses either at the beginning, because I'd wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh my gosh, what have I done? You know, it's like I've quit my job, you know, and but I'm just so glad that, looking back, I'm really glad I bet on myself. That was the best thing I could have done. And I just think that if more people would just bet on themselves, and that gets me up in the morning, because, you know, I'm the bottom line here. I'm the one who has to do this business. I'm not relying on other people to do it. It's me. You know, I'm making my posts. I'm responding to people. I'm answering emails. You know, and I have a little bit of help here and there with some of those things, but it's driven from me. Nobody controls my brand and my message, but I do. And I think that's the way it should be for every business owner, that when you build your own business, you know your business better than any expert out there. And this is something I've also had to learn the hard way. It's just, you know, you hire people and you think, oh, they have all the answers. They really don't. You know your business better than everyone. And because you built it, and you got to listen to your gut, you know, when it's telling you to do something, you know. And I mean, it's been quite a journey. And being an entrepreneur, as you know, there's always a problem to solve. There's always something new to create, you know, and just having a more focused, positive attitude and mindset that this is the business I've created, the business that I want to work in. And that's the most important thing, is like, you know, we set up these boundaries of what we're not going to do, you know, anymore, because that doesn't make me happy, or I don't want to do that, or I don't want to work with that client, you know, and setting up the boundaries of no helps, you know. So it's quite a journey, but it's something that I've really enjoyed.
Well, and you know, the thing with your chairs, they're not your typical chairs. They are so unique and so bold. And where did you start off with them, with between the colors of what you do to the wood and then the fabric? Did it start off that way, or is that just something that you instinctually started to grow?
Yeah, I think it was more I grew into it because, when I took my upholstery course, the first one, I was more conservative on my fabric. It was a little whimsical, but it was more conservative. And then the second time I took it and I designed the chairs, I went a little bit more crazy with the fabric. It was a really fun, uh, bright colored floral fabric on these little armchairs that I did. And I realized, ooh, I really like that. And I looked around the class and I realized, okay, anyone can learn upholstery. If you get instruction, anybody can do this. It's not rocket science, okay? But not everyone knows design and knows how to put together a fun look, a good look. And of course, this is all through my lens. It's my taste is what the way I'm viewing this. But I do remember looking around the class and thinking, not everybody knows good design.
Mm.
And I think I do. Like I had that little instinct in me. And it's not that I haven't made mistakes, I've made tons, but that's how I learned. I learned, oh, yeah, that doesn't look good when I do this, but it looks good when I do that. And how can I? So I've learned to listen to my inner emotions when I'm designing, because I believe your emotions never lie. And like anytime I'm working on something and I'm trying out fabric, I'm holding it up and I'm trying to figure out, where does this go on the chair? And how do I do this? Does this look right? Anytime I hold something up and my emotions just like, I know that's the look. It's like my gut never lies. And so I've learned to not care about everyone else loving it. If I love it, that's what I go with. And, I don't, so I post chairs every day, pictures and videos. And sometimes I'm like, oh, no one's going to like this. And then everyone goes crazy over it. And then some days I'm like, oh, everyone's going to love this. And they're like, yeah. And
Right,
so,
right.
but it doesn't bother me. It's like, I put my posts out there to bring joy to people. Some people need that every day. I put them out there to just make people happy. I get all these kind of comments. Your chairs make me so happy when I see them, so I'm learning that over time that my posts really make a difference in people's lives, and it's about others. It's not about me. And so that's kind of, I post to help other people, but I design to please myself, or my client if I'm doing chairs for a client, so that's kind of been my attitude toward it.
I love that because, I hear so often, especially from small business owners, like social media. I don't want to do social media. And that's always my advice is don't make it about
Yeah,
you. Make it
it's
about them.
not.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. And it's a way to serve your audience. I mean,
Mhm.
and it's free advertising. Like, why wouldn't anybody do this? It's totally free. If we're talking 15 years ago, we couldn't do the kind of
Oh,
businesses we're doing now. We wouldn't have the clientele, at least for my chair orders, for my courses, anything like that. We would have to be advertising in print magazines, and who knows if people would even see them. I mean, like, it's a shoot in the dark there. And I mean, when you can post every day for free and you've got all these platforms, you've got TikTok and you've got Facebook and you've got Instagram, you've got YouTube and you've got Pinterest, you've got email marketing you can do. I mean, there are
it's
just
amazing.
so many.
It's
It's all
amazing.
free. It's all free. Like, you're crazy if you don't do that.
You
You are
know,
absolutely crazy.
it's funny, Wendy, because my very first business that I had, back in the day, Yellow Page advertising was my top,
Yeah.
advertising medium. And you had one chance once a year to get it right. And that was it. And it was
Yep.
expensive. It was very
Yes.
expensive. So, yeah, absolutely, without a
Hmm.
doubt.
Yeah.
We've come a long way.
Yes.
You said something on a post that I absolutely loved, and you just kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier here that about your hands. And
Yeah.
you said how using your hands ensues creativity. And I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that because I have never thought of it in that light before. But even for me, looking to take your upholstery class, which I've
Hmm.
never upholstered anything in my life,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I want to do something creative. Yeah. So talk
Yeah.
more about that.
Yeah, well, I think it's, research has shown us that the tactile doing, touching with your hands connects to your brain and allows that creativity to happen. And of course you can be creative in other ways. You don't have to be creative only with your hands, but
Sure,
that is
sure.
one way that a lot of us are creative, or whether you bake, you cook, you garden, you do chairs, you paint furniture. It's with your hands that you're doing things. And there's that connection between your hands and your brain. And if you just allow no judgments when you're creating and making, there is such freedom in that to make mistakes and fix them, to not make a big deal over that kind of stuff, but to realize, oh, okay, that isn't the best, or whatever you're doing with your hands. If you create something that didn't turn out great, well, who cares? Because a lot of it is about getting in that zone in your head of playing and learning to play. And that's kind of a brainstorm in a way with your hands, when you can, like I do it with fabrics. If I'm trying to figure out what fabrics to use, I get a whole bunch of fabrics in a pile and I begin to put them on the table and group them and make combinations. And I just let my emotions, be open to whatever feels good, whatever looks right to my eye. And I begin to remove things, add things in, whittle it down. And that is a form of brainstorming, just like a written brainstorm that you can do, whether you can brainstorm a lot of ideas on paper. It's that way with fabrics for me. And I think any kind of maker can identify with something like that, where if you're working with painted furniture, you're whittling down the paint colors, and so, I mean, for me, it's that connection of physically creating something, all in a sense of a very playful mindset of, okay, what's going to happen, and I try not to have fear about it, even if I have to buy an expensive fabric and of course I don't want to make a mistake with expensive fabric, but I don't let that hold me back from doing it. I do it, once I have it, I'm like, I try to get excited about, okay, how's this going to turn out? I hope it's going to look good. I try to visualize as much as possible, holding fabric up to things and,
because it's worth the risk, right? That's how I feel about, I'm a pretty avid gardener, and I feel that way about gardening too, where I'll spend a little bit more on a plant, a perennial or whatever that and sometimes they don't make it, but it was worth the risk to the experimentation of it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It always is. And that's the fun part, is experimenting. And a lot of this really goes back to the mindset of being a kid again, like learning to be a kid so that we can play more in our lives. I think we all need more play. All of us still adults do. And many of us just don't know how to do it because we don't know what that looks like for adults anymore. I mean, by the time we're in third grade, that's been kind of beaten out of us, no more playing. We're going to be studious. Can't have fun anymore, And I just never had that attitude when I was a teacher in a classroom, because I didn't want it to be miserable. I wanted it to be fun. Learning should be fun. And, but learning as an adult how to play again can involve hobbies. It can involve experimenting with things. It definitely involves being a kid again and daydreaming and people watching and, whatever the thing is that you like to do, that really, or whatever you do for fun, that is your form of play. So I think that that's really key and important. And when you can bring play into your work, like that's the best thing of all, when you can figure out a way to do that. And I think you can even do it even with a mainstream job. I don't think you have to have a creative job to do it. I think even mainstream jobs can do it and do it successfully and bring a lot of joy into your work,
Yep. Do what you love. Indeed.
Yes.
All right. You said something during our class that that just really hit me. And that's when I said, I have got to get her on this podcast, because I know it's something, especially for women entrepreneurs, that we really struggle with. And you said, when talking about your chairs, because your chairs are not the cheapest chairs around, to be sure. And you said, I tell people my price is my price.
Yeah.
Tell me how you came to that point.
Well, really from being ticked off all the time at myself for giving in. I mean, at some point, people always want to talk you down. Now, when you have lower prices on whatever you do, if you don't price your things high, you are going to get those people who try to talk you down in your price. But when you go ahead and set your price up and you decide that's what I'm doing, you will not get all these other people. Well, can you give it to me for, 80% off. Like, no one's going to do that. They're embarrassed to ask that. And so it kind of gets rid of that in your life, which is helpful, because that's demoralizing when people keep asking you to go down on your price. So when you go ahead and set your price really high, you are setting yourself up for that perceived value from people who buy, when things are priced high, people will look at that and say, ooh, that's really valuable. That's worth it. But when your price is low, you're opening it up for people to say, well, what's wrong with that? Why is it so low? And that's the thing, as creatives, most artists just don't know how to price their items. They don't have the guts to do it. And I really wish they did, because if they did, they would end up better financially, first of all, because they're going to do less work and they'll make more money because their items are priced higher. And life is not about working 24/7. It is about doing your work, but also enjoying life too. And that is setting you up for a better life, and I think, after having my prices so low, not being able to make a living, wanting to quit my day job, those are the things that made me raise my prices. I wanted to quit that day job so bad. And I was like, I can't stand this anymore. I have to do it. And, it makes me sick to my stomach whenever I have to do it. But then after I do it, like, I immediately get sales every single time I raise my prices. And so it just goes to show you, of course, you should have done this a long time ago, and,
did you quit the day job before you raised your prices, or did you raise your prices first and then quit the day job?
So it was kind of happening at the same time.
Okay.
So I was in a coaching group, and at the time, and she had already told me to raise my prices, so I did. And then I was able to quit my day job, so they were kind of happening sort of at the same time, but it was just getting that courage. And that's why I'm a big fan of coaching. I know you do coaching, right? So
Right.
I'm a big fan of that, because everybody needs a business coach, a business group to be a part of. Every entrepreneur, I don't care where you are in your business, you need mentors and people who are ahead of you to give you the courage and the push that you need. I'm a very driven person. I can get my work done and I will do the things I need to do for my business. And I even suffer from having the courage to do certain things that I need to do. And my business coach has to tell me, okay, Wendy, do this. This is the next step for you. And of course, I want to be successful, and I'm paying her. So I'm going to do what she says, because she's smart. That's why I'm paying her to do this, and I mean,
it's that mindset piece, right?
Oh, always. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything starts there. We don't like to talk about that, but that is the source of all of our anxiety and worry and stress. It's all in our mindset. And if we can just all learn to grab hold of that better and learn to control ourselves and to see things for what they really are instead of making them into something else, I think we'd all be better off, honestly.
And that time that you finally did it, that you finally raised your price and said, this is the price, like, what happened? Like, how did you feel in that moment in time?
Well, I felt sick about it. First of all, it doesn't feel good to do that. But after I got a sale or two, I was like, oh, okay. And then that gave me the courage when people email me, like just this past week, someone emailed wanting 4 chairs. And she said, I thought you had 4 chairs for, $2,000 or something like that, And I said, no, actually my chairs are $1,200 each, plus the cost of fabric, plus shipping. I'm sorry, it's out of your budget, and that's how I respond. I'm so sorry, it's out of your budget. I'm nice about it.
Sure.
But that's my stance. I'm not bending, because if I bend my prices for somebody or do work on some chairs I don't like doing, and those are another set of boundaries. When I've done that, when I've given in, I'm so angry and mad the whole time I'm doing that. And that is not okay. And it's because I didn't set up my boundaries. Brene Brown talks about boundaries all the time, and these are boundaries you have to set up. I'm not going to work on other people's chairs. I only work on my own that I sell. I have these rules for my business because this is what works for me, and I don't give in. I don't discount my chairs. And when people ask, do you give any kind of discount, this and that for, I'm sure it's all worthy causes that people want discounts for, but my pat answer is, oh, I'm so sorry, I don't discount my chairs. That's it.
Fantastic.
You don't need to explain. You don't need to say anything else. That's it.
End of story. End of story.
Yeah.
What happened for you to make you decide to create your online course? So this is, and I see this happen a lot, right? We get to a point where there's only so many hours in a day, and you only can go so far. What happened for you to bring you to that point?
Yeah. So my business coach forced me to make a course. She was like, Wendy, you need to teach other people how to do this. I'm like, why would I do that? Then they're not going to buy my chairs. And she's like, there are some people who are never going to buy your chairs. They can't afford it. They're never going to be able to do it. There are some people who buy your chairs who never want to take a course. She said, you're not cannibalizing your business. And I was like, all right, well, I hope you're right. So I did it because she told me to. This is a different business coach. And, I did it. And, I worked really hard. I got it out there and put it up. And in my mind, this is how I was saving myself in my mind from failure. This is how I was dealing with it at the time. I was like, okay, well, if this fails, it's her fault because I did what she told me to do, but I gave it everything I got. I did. I gave it everything I got. I hired the right people to help me, create the web page, create the copy and all the stuff I needed. And it wasn't a failure. It was amazing. My very first launch was amazing. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, and it's because she forced me to do it. And I'm so glad she pushed me because I would never have done it on my own. I had all those wrong thoughts of cannibalizing my business. Why would I do this? So now what I've realized is it's perfect because people who can't afford my chairs, well, why don't you just learn to make your own? Because I can't do everybody's orders anyway, and so it serves both audiences in an amazing way. I can do chairs for certain people who don't want the course, and people who can't afford my chairs can buy the course and do it themselves. So, it's really worked out great. I'm so glad I did it. Man, it has changed my life. It's changed other people's lives who are taking the course. And so it's just been fabulous all the way around. But yes, a business coach at the time made me do it, and I did it. So I'm glad I did.
What are your bright, shiny objects that are in front of you that are there in the future for you?
Well, the things, my main goal, I always have one main goal for my business. And the main umbrella goal that everything else fits under is honestly to get more people in my course. And because of that, all the other things that I hope for and try in my business needs to fall under that umbrella. I do that because I can only do a certain amount of chairs a year, right? And so, but tons of people could take my course and change their lives too, and provide for my family financially. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Sure.
Everybody's being helped. So the things I look to do are always in line with, does this get more awareness for my brand so that more people will take my course? So the things I'm looking toward is I have a book that's coming out this next month.
Congratulations.
So thank you. And so I'm hoping
now,
that
is this your first book?
Well, it is on my own. I've written over 100 books for the publishing company. I wrote curriculum books. I wrote professional development books for teachers. I wrote lessons and readers for kids. So I've written a lot of things in the educational world. But this is my first book on my own, done myself, self-published. I went the self-publishing route just because I felt like I wanted control of my book. I wanted it to look a certain way. I wanted it to have the certain kind of message. When you work with a publisher, it changes. And you make very little money anyway. So why do that? And I need to pay myself back for all this work that I've done on the book, all the people I've paid to help me, get the book there, print the book, all that. So I will be able to do that if I sell the book. I'll be able to pay myself back for all the money I've invested in it. And so, but for me, the book is a means to reach more people, to show them the joy of what doing chair upholstery can do for a person. But it's not just about chairs. It is about creativity. It's a book that focuses on how to think, play, and work more creatively. And it's called Life Whimsy.
Life Whimsy. I love that.
Life Whimsy, how to think, play, and work more creatively. So, it's creativity really is at the root of my passion. And then I love chairs too, and so you're going to see a lot of chair examples in there, but I try to relate it to anybody, regardless if you love chairs or not, or even want to do upholstery or not, it doesn't matter. I think my goal is that the book will help people. So, that is one thing that I'm looking towards. And honestly, I would really love to be on TV, and so have a show. And so that's something I'm trying to work towards. And I do that so that more people will learn about my brand and hopefully join my course. So like both of those things fit under that umbrella. And you got to try something at least once, right? To know if you like it or not. So those are kind of the things I'm hoping for.
That is exciting. Very, very exciting. A lot of people will say, well, it's easy for her because she's been doing it for a while and, all that. What do you say to even the naysayers that just say, I can't, naysayers to themselves, that I can't do something like that?
Like learn upholstery?
Exactly.
Oh gosh, no, upholstery is, my pat answer is, this is not rocket science. This is like, you just need to know the steps and get the tools and get the supplies. That is all it is. It is not a mystery to know how to do this. It is not hard to do. It just takes some time to learn. And if you can be patient with yourself and try to enjoy the process, the end result of what you'll create will bring you so much joy, and it seriously, anyone can learn this. It's just, you got to know what to do, what steps to have, what tools to have, what supplies to get. And just take your time as you're learning and produce your first chair. Do an easy one. First of all, don't pick up a sofa. I can't tell you how many messages I got this week. I'm a beginner. Can your course teach me how to do my sofa? I'm like, no, it cannot.
That's one of the pieces of advice you gave me in the class, because I instantly was looking at my dining room set going, oh yeah. And my husband was like, get away from the chairs. So I have two little chairs that I'm going to work on. Yeah.
So, you want to start simple, like don't kill yourself over this, and it's about learning the process. If you do something really hard, like a sofa, and someone did that in my very first upholstery course that I took. Someone was doing a big Chesterfield sofa that had all the tufting and the big buttons. I was like, she is crazy. And she, of course, didn't finish it during that course. She took it a second time, didn't finish it. I think she took 3 courses and then had to go in for private lessons. I would have torn my hair out and quit. Right. Because it's so hard what she did. And like, as a teacher, like, don't make things harder than they need to be. Like, learn on the easy chair, get good, get fast, and then go to something a little harder, and then go to something a little harder. That's what a good teacher would do with her classroom. She's not going to give you the hardest thing to do. She's going to, it's that gradual release of responsibility, like get a little harder each time. And then you're going to build up the confidence, and then you'll look at that sofa and say, I think I can do that. I can figure it out, because it's like a puzzle. You take it off and figure out how to put it back on, in the same way. So it's not hard to do. It's just, don't start with hard things. So that's my number one piece of advice.
And I think it's great. And it's so true with just running a business that, it's just, don't try to eat the whole elephant all at once.
No, it's a little at a time. And like, it does take time to get to know your brand and to know what you stand for. And, just understand what you want your message to be and how what you do affects other people. And you can't know that until you get their feedback. And you'll see that in the comments of things you post, and the way people respond to your emails and they email you back, and what they tell you about your brand. That's when I think you begin to understand, oh, that's the way people see this. This is what this means to other people. So I think it's something that you have to put your stuff out there. You got to test some things and figure out what works, what you like, what makes a difference in other people's lives. And then you get direction better and better by doing that way, I think.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, this has been just lovely. I want to thank you so much for being with
Yeah.
us here today. And I look forward to taking your course down the road here.
Yay. Well, I'd be excited for you.
All right. Thanks so much, Wendy.
Okay.
Take care.